Welcome to week 2 of the NFL season. Welcome to Sunday, week 2 of Beerfield Fantasy Football. I am your host at Hop BFF, Kris Hopper, however we decide to do it on any given day. Rolling solo this week. Dan Thury is off mining for silver or working or something. I'm not entirely sure. But we've got the latest in and out news here to answer anybody that has questions. Hang around until about 11:30, 11:45 or so, longer or shorter, depending on the amount of activity in the chat, and get you all ready for week 2. Testing out some different times as we kind of go through the weekend to figure out when we can get the most interaction, help the most people. I know that there's a lot of other live streams that go on around the 11 to 12 o'clock hour. It's really when inactives start rolling in. But, for those that do decide to tune in with us, we certainly do appreciate you. The bottle cap, where's my webcam? The bottle cap is here with me to decide anything I can't decide on. I don't have Dan for quorum, so, naturally I win everything. No bottle caps lying around, so we got some Oktoberfest in hand, pre-gaming a little bit. What up, Alex? As we get ready for week 2 of the NFL season. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into some of the... all faith in the bottle cap. That's right. I think we should start tracking how right the bottle cap is to see if it's more accurate than Dan and I. Dan and I know that we're right about 66% of the time based on doing previous just start-sit tracking and things of that nature. The bottle cap, I think we should start tracking it. I really do. I'm going to talk to Dan about that on Monday. We'll probably do it on the show because that's when we make every important decision to see if we can determine if the bottle cap is more accurate than us and we should just give up and flip a coin for everything. All right. Bottle cap flip, Marvin Jones or Corey Davis. Wow. So he doesn't even ask for my opinion on this. He's just flip the bottle cap. I don't care what you have to say. Just flip the bottle cap. All right, Dan. I really see how it is here. Personally, Marvin Jones against the Packers, against Green Bay, they should be playing from behind. No Kenny Golladay this week. I like that a bit more than Corey Davis against Denver, I believe. Am I in the right week? No, I'm in the wrong week. Of course I have. Jacksonville. I like that a little bit more than Corey Davis against Jacksonville. Still, just because I expect that game to be relatively low scoring. And if it's not, it's because Tennessee's up a lot. But here you go, Dan. Sam Adams' side will be Marvin Jones. The Cheers side will be Corey Davis. We landed Sam Adams. You're going with Marvin Jones. All right. What up, Colton? Some last-minute ins and outs. Continue. We'll get to questions as they come up. Chris Godwin's out today against Carolina. That is not last minute. Mike Evans should see increased volume. Scottie Miller should see a bump. Audrey Howard might see some increased target volume to make up for that deficit. But Mike Williams only seeing four targets in week 1. See Montgomery or Keenan Allen in half PPR. David Montgomery against the Giants. Honestly, Keenan Allen saw 10 targets last week. Was only able to turn it into 37 yards, I believe. 37 or 47. Not great in any event. Was inefficient. I would just rather lean on more of the insulated value in the running back, even at half PPR. Mike Williams has actually outperformed Keenan Allen, I think, if you go back over the last 10 weeks or so, is the note I saw. Scottie Miller or Devante Parker in half PPR. So Scottie Miller, as I just mentioned, is interesting. Devante Parker up against the Bills. I don't love that, especially, Preston Williams there, waiting to see how that target volume goes. I would take the dart throw on Scottie Miller here over Parker. Valdez-Scantling, Malcolm Brown, or Melvin Gordon, pick 2 in half PPR. So Malcolm Brown had a fantastic game. Look, worlds better than Cam Akers last week against Dallas. They get the Eagles this week. Which, I don't really hate that matchup. Marquez Valdez-Scantling ran as the 2, kind of alternating on and off with Lazard. They'll play against Detroit, which has a weak defensive matchup. Melvin Gordon against the Steelers, even without Phillip Lindsay there to take volume, is not something I love. I don't love that defensive matchup. So for me, I'm going with Malcolm Brown, Marquez Valdez-Scantling there. No problem, Colton. I don't have Dan to fill dead air while I'm drinking a beer. So yeah, Miller, we just discussed that. Kenny Golladay gonna miss week 2 against the Packers. I mentioned that when with Dan's Marvin Jones question. Hawkinson and Marvin Jones did pick up the slack in week 1 against the Bears. That's a game that they were up for most of it, really until the fourth quarter. I expect Green Bay game script to be more, or Detroit's game script against Green Bay to be more pass heavy. So again, favoring Marvin Jones, TJ Hawkinson there. Second week, I'm running Marvin Jones out in a lot of places with confidence. Phillip Lindsay's going to be out 2 to 4 weeks. Means Royce Freeman will see an increased role again, with Melvin Gordon being the clear lead back. Saquon Barkley put up 6 yards against the Steelers. Against the Steelers. So I do not have a lot of faith in Melvin Gordon this week. He looked good in week 1. If he can do it against the Steelers, I think that's going to answer a lot of questions there, but odds are probably better that he doesn't. So I'm just steering clear of the Denver backfield. George Kittle isn't going to play this week. He'll be back in week 3. Mohamed Sanu is active, recently signed. He is familiar with the offense, and Brandon Ayuk is also active for San Francisco. Quite honestly, I just don't want anything to do with this passing game if I can avoid it. The passing game is not exactly fantastic, and until there's some clarity there, I'm looking other directions outside of San Francisco. You know, if Kittle's not playing, I don't want to bet between Ayuk in his first game, Mohamed Sanu in his first game with the team, Dante Pettis, who's been next to nothing, and Kendrick Bourne, who just decides to show up in random weeks and play. So kind of out on that one. Cortland Sutton is going to play. That came out here very, very recently. Again, against Pittsburgh. I'm okay with starting Cortland Sutton. I really am. I don't think he's going to have a blow-up game, but we saw what Darius Slayton was able to do, and Sutton is a more talented wide receiver than that. So, I think that you can be okay with Sutton, especially expecting some passing volume there. Golden Tate's going to be active for week 2 against the Bears. Darius Slayton's still going to be the best wide receiver option there. I don't really see Golden Tate as a threat. It'll be interesting with a full complement of weapons to see how that goes. But, I'm still going to lean Darius Slayton if I have to start a Giants wide receiver. Quick reminder, Michael Thomas is not going to play this week against the Raiders. Traquan Smith, Emmanuel Sanders, Jared Cook would be your guys who get a bump up from that. I wouldn't consider Traquan Smith a bit more than Traquan Smith a bit more than a kind of a YOLO play, if you will. I think it definitely could materialize. It's not outside of the realm of possibility, but Emmanuel Sanders has been more productive over the last couple of years. Traquan Smith is not necessarily new to the league. He's had opportunities before that he hasn't really been able to grasp. And Jared Cook was their best option after Thomas went down last week. Devante Parker active against the Bills. Again, I just don't love that matchup for the Dolphins at all. Not also with Preston Williams being back and playing well. And as mentioned, Brandon Ayuk is active for San Francisco. But again, I would probably avoid that. So a few more actives and inactives rolling in here. Packers will appear to have a healthy offensive line for whatever that's worth. Detroit's defense doesn't scare anybody. No surprise inactives for Buffalo. Tremaine Edmonds, their middle linebacker, is going to miss. So I'm still not going to bet on any Dolphins running back because it's a hot hand approach, but Tremaine Edmonds will be out. Be interesting to see if Myles Gaskin can repeat last week. Devante Parker, Brandon Ayuk are playing as expected. So, I'm going to hang out here and hopefully not some awkward silence for a few minutes for any other questions. And, as inactives start to roll in and out. So, some other things here that I like just as general rules. Rams defense, if you're in a league that uses defenses. Thoughts on DJ Moore this week? So, I like DJ Moore this week. going up against Tampa, we saw, even with Tom Brady having a bad game, Tampa still had some offensive firepower to them. Carolina, I think, is going to be an easier matchup than what New Orleans was for them, which means that I expect Carolina to be playing from behind, and we know that a lot of that target volume is going to funnel through DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey. Robbie Anderson definitely served as another option and took a little bit away from DJ Moore, but given the matchup and until the Bucs prove me, otherwise, that they're a super different team from last year, I'm okay with running out DJ Moore given the offensive firepower they have to create some separation in this game and force Carolina into pass mode. And, given the fact that DJ Moore is still the one on that team. So I think that Carolina is going to have to get into high volume pass mode, though, in this one and be playing from behind for a lot of it, which means volume for DJ Moore. Volume kind of being king. Some other things that I look at that I do like this week, if you're streaming defenses and the Rams are available, the Eagles have had a beat-up offensive line. Aaron Donald should be able to wreck that. So you lost A.J. Brown and Mack last week, scrambling to fill flex, half PPR. Do you prefer Perriman or Renfrow as a spot start? Yeah, that's a really interesting question. So Raiders get the Saints. I expect them to be playing a bit from behind in that game as well. And Hunter Renfrow has proven to give decent floor whenever he gets target volume. I know that most of it went through Darren Waller last week. I don't hate Renfrow. The interesting thing about Perriman, though, is that Jamison Crowder is also out this week, which is worth 13 targets. And I expect a lot of that to go Perriman's way. And some of that will also funnel through Herndon, but I expect a lot of that to go Perriman's way. And with Richard Sherman out, I honestly am going to lead Perriman. I think there's a little bit more upside there with similar floor. So it is Rashad Perriman for me. I think it's a little bit more risk-reward play. Renfrow's safer, but give me the added upside, especially if I'm scrambling and, I've lost a couple of players. Just give me the Perriman upside. I don't expect the Jets to be playing from ahead or anything like that, so should be enough volume there. Some other things I like, anything that involves Dallas and Atlanta, I expect that game to be relatively high scoring. Cowboys have lost a cornerback. They have lost Leighton Vander Esch. No problem. Some other interesting things that stick out to me here. Again, the Broncos a little down on them going up against Pittsburgh. Jaguars, Titans. Mark, welcome, Mark. Singletary, James Robinson, James Conner, Malcolm Brown, and John Brown. Need one running back, one flex, PPR. So, James Conner concerns me a little bit given how well that Benny Snell performed. Malcolm Brown, I actually do like this week, especially if Cam Akers continues to be inefficient. James Robinson, a little bit of a tough matchup. John Brown ran, even if not outperformed, Stephon Diggs. And especially in PPR, they have a plus matchup against the Dolphins. Pick twos are ones where I usually like to have Dan to bounce off of, but without him here, I'm just going to go ahead and say that I'm going Browns here. I'm going Malcolm Brown and John Brown. James Conner didn't look great also before he went down last week. James Robinson was efficient enough, but 3.88 yards per attempt. Yes, he'll be the lead back. Yes, it should be a low-scoring game. But again, I just don't love that matchup. And, Devin Singletary is interesting in the sense that if the Bills go up, that, he should see work, but you're still splitting with Zach Moss, and neither one of them look good. So, yeah, I'm going to go Malcolm Brown, John Brown. Some other quick hitters here. Lions up against the Packers. I mentioned before, I expect the Lions to be playing from behind. Lions also have a bad defense, so that's another game that I just like. I like that one to be a little bit more high scoring. I like most of the fantasy relevant pieces there. Stafford's an okay stream, no problem, Mark. If he's available, I know that he was taken late in a lot of drafts. Bills, Dolphins. They're still a little bit intriguing, just in the sense that the Bills have an easy matchup and the Dolphins also figure to play from behind. Washington, Arizona is a game that I'm going to be watching. Really want to see if Washington's for real and how a little bit more of that shakes out. That's another game that I'm just kind of like, okay, I need to see some of what happened in week one trend. Ravens-Texans also could very well go high scoring. If you're cold on Mark Ingram after last week, I would go ahead and trot him out again just before we're sure that he's not a thing. Chiefs-Chargers. One important note of the Chiefs-Chargers games that I did not mention is that Justin Jackson is out with a quad injury, which means that second running back role that Josh Kelly did well with last week is Josh Kelly's right now. So I'm starting Josh Kelly in a couple places due to injuries to other players. Chris Godwin, George Kittle are the two that really hurt me, especially Godwin. I have Godwin and Marvin Jones on a lot of teams. So there's a healthy amount of Godwin out, Marvin Jones out of the flex into the wide receiver slot, and Josh Kelly plugging in at my flex for me. So that's another player that, may be readily available. Probably not. But, if you have him, that I would be pretty comfortable starting with confidence. Let's go ahead and give Roto World another check here, see if we got any more updates to provide. Nothing new since the Bills. We'll hang out here until call it 11:25, just in case there's additional questions. I have a phone someplace. Questions coming in from friends on occasion through text message. I have a Chris Carson or Michael Gallup in the flex question that just showed up. For something like Chris Carson versus Michael Gallup, Seahawks have the Patriots, and Carson, Carlos Hyde, they're going to take a hot hand approach. I do expect, time zones throw us off too, Alex. It's a real pain. So Chris Carson, Michael Gallup. Carson's got an okay matchup against New England. I do expect the Seahawks to win that game and keep it relatively close. I think Chris Carson's going to be part of that. Cowboys-Falcons, though, is a game I expect to be entirely high scoring. The problem with Michael Gallup I have right now is that CeeDee Lamb is option 3 or 2 or 2A or 2B, however you want to stack that up. Actually saw a decent amount of volume as well, and Cooper saw himself going to double-digit targets. So, I don't know if that's sustainable or how that's going to necessarily shake out. I'm going to go with Chris Carson on that one, just because I think there's a bit more insulated volume there. Running backs always tend to have more insulated volume than wide receivers, volume being king, which gives them a little edge up when you're putting them neck and neck on an either or type of scenario. So Chris Carson also saw the target volume for the Seahawks as well. So that's a close one for me. It's going to be Carson though. Another question I was asked this morning had to do with flex players. It was a Ronald Jones versus, let's see, I gotta go pull this up again. It was a Ronald Jones versus James Conner versus James Robinson discussion. Leaned Ronald Jones there. He did see the majority of the work in week one. He was equally as good as James Robinson was, with a better matchup this week against the Panthers. So, that's a Ronald Jones leading for me. I do expect Leonard Fournette to slowly eat into some of that work that Ronald Jones has been getting. But, even if it happens a bit in week two, I think that Jones can be a little bit more efficient. It's a better matchup than Robinson. The two performed nearly equally in week one. And as far as James Conner, he's been on the struggle bus for about the last year or so. I need James Conner to really show something. Pilsner or stout? I'm more stouts. Really depends on the weather, though. We're in a nice fall season, so we're not quite in stout season. In nice fall weather here in St. Louis, Missouri. So we're not quite all the way into stout season yet, but generally speaking, in a vacuum, I like the depth of flavors that stouts provide a little bit more. I like layers to whether it's bourbon, wine, or beer, whichever item I decide to be drinking at that point in time. I like depth, and I like a little bit of complexity. Pilsners don't give you a whole lot of complexity. They're generally just crisp and good, which makes them great for summer or even bonfire drinking and game day, anything you're going to do marathon-wise. Stouts being a little heavier. So, situations are situational, but in a vacuum, my palate prefers stouts. But those are the type of questions I like. I want more of those. We like alcohol questions here. I'm starting stouts this week in my beer fantasy league. All right. 25 minutes into this thing. One last call for questions here before we wrap this guy up. And one last check of inactives. All right. Nothing else on the inactive front. I see no other questions rolling in here at the 30-second mark. Thank you guys for tuning in. Dan will be back with me next week, which gives us a little bit more full Sunday live stream. We'll probably be going early for that one, given the fact that I do have to work next Sunday. And when I mean early, I mean like copy. All right, full PPR. Keenan Allen, Scottie Miller, Jalen Reagor, or Allen Lazard. And then Devante Johnson or CeeDee Lamb. Some things rolling in here last minute. All right, let's start with Allen, Miller, Reagor, or Lazard. Keenan Allen saw volume last week. He did not do a whole lot with that volume, though. 10 targets went his way. Not a whole lot of them catchable. Scottie Miller has the benefit of Chris Godwin being out this week. What targets go his way versus what supplements the 4 targets that Mike Evans got to bring that up. Is going to be really kind of the drawback there. If we're looking at Jalen Reagor, he caught 1 of 4, but it was a 55-yarder going up against the Rams this week. It's not an amazing matchup, especially given I don't know how far they're going to be able to get downfield, given the state of that Eagles offensive line. Allen Lazard could be sneaky. The thing with Allen Lazard, though, is much like with the Keenan Allen Mike Williams split, where they were with the plus or minus 1 target. So were Allen Lazard and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Lazard's got the better matchup this week, though. And in a vacuum, volume considered, I would probably lean Allen Lazard out of that bunch. And that's kind of difficult to say, given the Chargers-Chiefs matchups, given how good Keenan Allen has been. But when you catch 40% of your passes, not a lot of them catch a bull, and you only turn that into 47 yards on 10 targets, that's going to leave a sour taste. So I'm leaning Lazard a bit, but Lazard and Keenan Allen are pretty close. We can give it to the bottle cap if you want. Devante Johnson or CeeDee Lamb. Cowboys game I fully expect to be high scoring, which plays towards CeeDee Lamb in full PPR. He came out last week and really surprised me with the volume that he saw in comparison to Michael Gallup. Amari Cooper obviously demanding double-digit targets, but Gallup and CeeDee Lamb were very, very close. Deontay Johnson did not look that good. Deontay Johnson did see 10 targets. He did turn it on as the week went along, but I expect that Steelers-Broncos games to stay a little bit lower scoring. Deontay Johnson led the team in targets. Juju was a more effective wide receiver. I'm going to lean CeeDee Lamb on that one, just because I expect a higher scoring game over there. It's an easier matchup. That is very, very close. That's a good question, but I will lean CeeDee Lamb. I'm interested in Deontay Johnson. I'm not cold on Johnson. He started off rough last week. But again, 10 targets is something that's hard to turn a blind eye to. So we'll see if he maintains that target volume and can do a little bit more with it after, a couple of not so great moments early in that week 1 game for him. All right, thank you everybody for tuning in today. Everybody that tuned in to watch. Again, we'll be back next Sunday, but again, it will likely be in early one. We're talking like coffee field fantasy range or Dan will be by himself. We'll have to discuss because I do have to work next Sunday. So it may be Dan solo for you next Sunday, actually. But we will discuss that amongst ourselves. Be sure to tweet it out and let you know. Make sure, all of you are here. Make sure that you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We don't say that because we try to benefit from it. We don't try to monetize at all. We say that because it varies week to week. And, we like being able to answer your questions. We like being able to get to everything. So, if you guys want to know when we go live because it varies, that's the best way to do it is to get that push notification on your phone. So, again, that's a for you thing, not a for us thing. When we ask you to hit that bell, because that is the most surefire way to remember what we do. All right, Irvin, welcome to the show. Pick 2, full PPR: John Brown, Robbie Anderson, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin. I called John Brown made a John Brown call earlier. I like John Brown against the Dolphins. He ran pretty close with Stephon Diggs. Terry McLaurin against the Cardinals, I like that one also. It's McLaurin and John Brown for me. Cardinals are going to be up-tempo. Real interested to see if Washington can keep pace if they can. It's going to be because of Terry McLaurin. So I'm going John Brown, Terry McLaurin on that one, especially in full PPR. Again, Keenan Allen may be the biggest reason I have egg on my face this week, but after 10 targets with a bit of lackluster performance in week 1, I'm steering away from that. Hey, no problem. And with that, we're out. Also, yes, good luck, everyone.